Hey everybody, this is Terry. I wanted to give everybody an update on what I've been up to for the last month or so since my last video. I think on my last video the cab was off. It's obviously still off. I took the everything that was left on the frame out, like the motor, the gas tank. I took all the A-arms, completely disassembled the frame. I went ahead and finished welding all the stuff that I needed to weld on the differential. What will happen next with it is I will take my aluminum cover off and put a little light bead of RTV and put the original one back on, and that way I can sandblast this differential and all the parts that I'm going to paint. I'm not going to paint it all at once. I'm going to paint everything in that box by itself. What I'd like to do is paint this big stuff like the front and rear sway bar, the leaf springs, the rear differential, and the frame is what I'd like to do in the first shoot, maybe, is what I'm thinking, because I have a lot of parts in the box that will have to be hung, and I don't want to get so much going that I can't do it easily. So I think that's the direction I'm going to go. I did make a rotisserie for my frame out of a couple of Harbor Freight engine stands. And I can tell you that even though it was cheap to do that, I mean, I probably got $150 in it. Man, it's all in steel and casters. There's a lot going on when you make a rotisserie that I don't think most people realize. You know, of course, the main beam has to be sawed and squared up with the world. The part I didn't realize was that this motor plate was a little bit off too. It wasn't exactly 90 degrees. I wasn't expecting that, so it had to be cut and squared up with the world. So there's a little more going on than just, you know, straighten up the main beam and call it a day. Just actually the mounting of the way the frame mounts onto the plates or the assembly that's going to hold the frame can make your break. I mean, you can get, if you don't get it on there correctly, you can have it to where it's really top heavy on one side of it and really light on the other side. So there's a little more going on than just slapping it on there and calling it a day. I think that the one that I've got, the locations that I've selected for where my frame is going to mount to the rotisserie is pretty good. Let's see, show you guys this. So I mean, there's not really a whole lot of effort. This is one-handed. So I think I got it pretty close to being in the center of the assembly. That's what my goal was. I guess my goal was to probably come out having the imaginary tube that goes from one end to the other across here, coming out somewhere in here. So that's what I shot for, and that's what I ended up with, and it works out pretty good. So, but there's a little more going on than just taking an engine stand and there you go. There's some cutting and fabricating and some thinking about it. The only thing that I really wasn't expecting was this plate here to not be square with this area here, this pipe coming off of it. I wasn't expecting to have to do anything with that, but once I got everything 90'd up, you could look at that plate and you could tell, even spinning it, you could see it doing this number. So I went ahead and cut that and squared that up, and anyway, that's where we're at today. What else? Okay, so while the truck was all together, I went underneath there and I marked all of the holes that were going to go away, all the holes that were going to stay, and made sure that I knew what was going to happen before I took it apart. So once it come apart, and once I got it actually on a rotisserie, my Harbor Freight rotisserie, I went ahead and drilled like all the holes for wiring clips. I went ahead and drilled all those. I made all of the tooling that I needed to plasma cut the slots in it. This slot, these two slots here and here for headlight wiring, and you know, wiring going to the electric fans and stuff like that. Any wiring that goes forward, I can use I'm going to bury inside here and come out over here. Back here I have one for the brake switch wiring. You can't see that, can you? Right there, that one's for brake switch. This here is going to be for a vacuum line for the power brakes. I got those cut in. I cut this slot here a little bit bigger to help with the removal of the batteries. That's still a deal that's up in the air. I think that the batteries will be able to come out, but until I actually have the battery, I built a mock-up battery. I don't know where it's at, but I built a mock-up battery to the best of my ability with the dimensions that were on the internet, and it should come out. It should have come out without even having to do anything here, but I wanted to try to make it a little bit easier, so that's why I kind of went ahead and did that. Let's see, on this other side I did the same as far as the headlight wiring up in through here. Took care of that. This one here is for back here. There will be a lot of wiring. The passenger side seems to have a little bit more wiring going through it because this is the side that it goes all the way down, is this side, and snakes through all here. Let's see here, we got this one here. This is for the fuel lines, both the fuel lines. The feed and return go through this area here, and when I took it apart, it was kind of bound up in there. So I elongated this slot a little bit and then did the same thing over on this side, so there'll be a lot lazier bend going through there than not so tight. I went ahead and finished welding everything and started grinding all the welds down. All I'm doing is taking the tops off the welds, and I'm going to finger them with some structural Bondo, and that's going to be it. If they look bumpy when they're done, that's okay, because it is welded there, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'll smooth all this up and all that and make everything else look good. But every one of these slots is going to have an edge grommet put on it. We use the edge grommet in aviation. They just stick on there. You don't really even need to glue them on there, because if you cut them the right length, it'll actually force it to stay on there. That way that even if these have a little bit of slop in there, it doesn't ever end up like chafing itself through the fuel lines or wires or whatever's going through there. So that's what's going to happen there. And I think what's going to happen next is I need to order a dead man for this blaster here. It does really good, but the hole's getting a little too big in the porcelain or ceramic end for it, so I'd like to find a dead man for it. So I've been kind of looking at it. Maybe that's what I'll do later on today, is see if I can't find a dead man for that. But anyway, I'm going to get the frame ready to go, and all my grinding and whatever I'm going to do to the frame done. I'm going to get the rear end taken care of and get the old differential cover on there and get the new one off, and I'll get the leaf springs and the forward nap sway bars, get them out there, and I'll sandblast all this stuff here at once and go ahead and take it out there, do the body, bring it back in, do the body work on it, get it caught up to high build, and then I'll deal with, at that point, I don't know, I may go ahead and paint the frame and that stuff there and then roll it to the back and then deal with that stuff by itself, this other stuff here by itself. I don't know yet what I'm going to do there. I don't know how far I'm going to go. I don't want to have to, I'll probably go ahead and paint this. Probably paint the rear end, the leaf springs, the sway bars, and get them out of the way in the frame, get that out of the way, and then deal with this little box of goodies here by itself, because there'll be a lot of stuff hung up. So anyway, I don't know, that's just kind of what I'm thinking. But anyhow, that's where I'm at, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.